Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. I read every message. Thank you. I never imagined a Saturday night at a friend's party could feel so utterly lonely. The music thumped, the lights flashed, laughter bounced off the walls. Yet I felt invisible. My name is Ethan, 32 years old. I've always been a quiet type, the guy who prefers small gatherings over crowded clubs. But tonight, I want to be around people. Maybe even talk to Claire, the woman I've been seeing for a few months. Claire had a presence. She lit the room effortlessly, magnetic, always surrounded by people hanging on her every word. I loved watching her energy, even if it often left me on the sidelines. We arrived together, or at least I thought we did. For the first hour, she was distant. Not playful, not teasing, not the way we usually flirted. She was deep in conversation with her friends, laughing, leaning in, completely absorbed, while I lingered near the bar, nursing my drink, try to figure out how to bridge the distance without looking desperate. I know I'm sensitive, but tonight her energy, or the lack of it toward me, was impossible to ignore. I tried little gestures, a smile here, a casual, "Hey, you look great tonight." She acknowledged me, barely. Her eyes sparkled for everyone else but me, and that familiar ache hit again, the one that comes from wanting connection and finding only walls. The party pulsed around me, music pounding, glasses clinking, people laughing and dancing in a world I didn't quite belong to. I was about to step outside for a breath of air when something unexpected happened. Sophie, one of Claire's friends, approached me, a woman I barely knew, yet somehow her presence felt warm. Without hesitation, she took my hand. "Dance with me," she said, smiling, no teasing, just certainty. It was as if she knew exactly what I needed. I froze for a moment, caught off guard. Claire's right there. Is this wrong? Am I overthinking? But something in Sophie's eyes made me pause. Care, attention, the instinct to pull me out of the shadows I've been hiding in all night. So I let go. I followed her into the middle of the crowded living room. Music swirled around us. Hands touched, bodies moved, laughter blending into the rhythm. I felt alive again, not in a flashy, center of attention way, but the kind that wakes something inside you that's been dormant too long. Sophie didn't need to speak. Her presence was enough, grounding me, countering the invisibility I'd felt all evening. My thoughts, which had been circling Claire's indifference, began to quiet. I realized that it wasn't just about the dance, the party, or Claire ignoring me. It was about being seen, acknowledged in a world where I had been fading into the background. Claire noticed us, of course. Her eyes flicked toward us a few times. Surprise, maybe a hint of something I couldn't name. But it didn't matter. The moment, the warmth of someone noticing me, was enough. Sophie smiled softly, nodded when I followed her lead, and moved with a quiet confidence that was gentle but firm. For the first time that night, I felt like I mattered. That one simple gesture, taking my hand, insisting I dance, shook me out of the emotional fog I'd been trapped in. I realized how much energy I'd been giving someone who wasn't returning it. How long I'd tolerated distance without acknowledging my own needs. And sometimes life gives a small, clear sign. There's another path waiting. The song ended. A slower, more intimate track began. I glanced at Sophie. Her eyes met mine, a silent question in them. And in that instant, I knew something had shifted. Our bodies moved together in sync, effortlessly. Her presence was natural, grounding, like she'd been there all along, waiting for this moment. Around us, the party continued. Laughter, chatter, some dancing, but I was in a quiet bubble of clarity, shared only with her. I caught a glimpse of Claire across the room, talking to someone else, her laugh light but hollow. And then it hit me. My attention, my energy, my need be acknowledged. That wasn't hers to take or ignore. I'd spent too long trying to force connection where it didn't exist. Sophie didn't press, didn't ask questions about Claire or my tension. She just danced, letting movement speak louder than words. In that silence, I found permission to let go, to enjoy the moment, to reclaim the part of me I'd been neglecting. A few minutes in, she leaned closer. faces almost touching. You're smiling. It's about time. I laughed, light unfamiliar, in the middle of the crowded room. Yeah, I guess it is. It wasn't just about the dance. It was recognition, being acknowledged in a world where I had been fading into the background. And I realized something crucial. The people who truly see you aren't always the ones you're chasing. Sometimes it's strangers, friends, unexpected guides who remind you of your worth. The song ended. The crowd cheered, but I barely noticed. My focus stayed on Sophie, calm, patient, insisting I see my own value. Thank you, I whispered. She smiled, squeezed my hand. Anytime. I stepped back, breathed in, and for the first time that night, felt relief and excitement at the same time. Relief because I was no longer trapped in the invisible box Claire had unknowingly placed me in. Excitement because the night wasn't over, it was just beginning. Maybe I was ready to rewrite my story instead of fitting into someone else's. Later, as the party wound down, Claire approached me. Her eyes held something unexpected. Apology, curiosity, maybe a hint of regret. Hey, did you have fun? I nodded, smiling, not for approval, but for myself. Yeah, I did. In that moment, I felt a quiet power. Not loud or flashy, but the kind that comes from owning your emotions, standing firm in your own skin, and letting go of people who don't reciprocate your energy. I wasn't angry at Claire. I wasn't resentful. I was free, finally choosing myself. Walking into the night, city lights reflecting off wet pavement. I thought about Sophie. One small act of unexpected kindness had changed my perspective entirely. Life doesn't always hand you closure. Sometimes, the people you need aren't the ones you expect. Sometimes it's a stranger who sees the parts of you others ignore, restoring balance to your world. I didn't know what would happen with Sophie. Maybe nothing. Maybe she'd remain a fleeting memory. But I didn't care. The lesson mattered. You can't wait for validation. You can't depend on someone else's attention to feel alive. And you can't remain invisible, hoping for change that never comes. I left that party different than when I arrived. Lighter, calmer. Not because Claire ignored me, but because Sophie reminded me what it feels like to be seen. Sometimes, even a few minutes is enough to remind you who you are and what you deserve. As I walked home, music faintly lingering in the air, I thought about all the times I'd chased people who didn't notice me. I made a silent promise. Never again. I would honor my energy, my presence, my worth. Being seen isn't something you ask for. It's something you claim and never let go. That night, under the dim streetlights, I understood something profound. Sometimes, the universe doesn't hand you validation. You take it, and in taking it, you discover the simplest, most powerful truth. You are always worth noticing.